In Kenya, we say karibu, welcome. I'm Steve Fields. Many of you know my parents, Reverend David and Mrs. Elwanda Fields, and have been a part of their lifelong ministry in Africa. Today, I wanted to share a bit of their legacy and talk about how we're still working to create an ever-growing gospel ministry presence in Africa. My parents' ministry started in northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, in 1952. Zambia is also where they started their family. That cute baby. That's me. Me and my brother and two sisters, Paul, Barbie, and Sandra, spent most of our childhood in Zambia, then came to the States for college. As a family, we spent 17 years total in Zambia. Early in that ministry, my parents worked at the Mukingi Hill mission station with many other missionaries that functioned in our hearts as uncles, aunts, and grandparents, like Dr. Foster and Nurse Fran Warburton. Mama worked as a nurse at the hospital, while Papa managed projects throughout the mission station and the surrounding remote villages. In comparison to what life in America would have been like, life in Africa was very different. From what we ate and were alert to how we did ministry. As children, we were sent a day's drive away to Sakaji, to Christian boarding school for missionary children. We attended school for 4 months, twice a year, with only letter contact with our parents, except in emergencies. My parents said that this separation was the greatest sacrifice to them. Everything else was a privilege. Papa and Mama spent their time learning Kikaonde, the local dialect, and connecting with many locals. Papa was involved with the sawmill, brickmaking, a leper colony, church ministry, and also would take long bike rides out into the bush with the local Zambian spiritual leaders in order to reach more people. Those men taught him so much about the African way of life. Lions, leopards, and venomous snakes were a daily reality. His connections and relationships built there would help us learn how to plant churches and to minister to families affecting generations to come. In 1970, at the request of the AEF mission, my parents and sisters studied French to move as replacements to the island of Mauritius, where a missionary had retired. The girls could homeschool and help in the ministry. They ministered to many people, including many Hindu young people. There, many were saved. My parents' home was always full of young people. We watched as the gospel impacted young lives and spread throughout those families. After 2 years, the officials refused to renew Mama and Papa's visas because of the stir that the gospel was making on that small island. Too late. There are 3 churches still thriving there today. When my parents were forced to leave Mauritius, they joined the ABWE mission to minister in the French-speaking Togolese Republic in West Africa. They spent 9 years ministering in Togo. The pastor that they left in charge of the ministry there has gone on to start at least 45 other small churches throughout Togo. In 1983, Mama was 65 and Papa was 60. The mission asked them to move to Kenya, and they transitioned into a partnership with IFM, who already had a legal presence in Kenya. After prayerfully considering many locations, they chose to begin their ministry in Karatina, which is at the southern base of Mount Kenya. There were no other white people in that area, and they worked hard to establish new relationships with the people at the local open-air market and shops. They invited their new friends to their home for friendship and Bible study. Out of this grew a small church. What started as a gathering in their home grew into a metal church building in the yard and soon became a church building in a different location. Through the church established in Karatina, they started a Bible school where men and their families could live at the church compound and study and complete a 3-year Bible course. For $100 a month, men would have the basic needs of their family met while they completed the training they needed to plant churches throughout the country. Today, that organization has a network of over 30 churches that is still multiplying and growing as part of the official legal entity of the Antioch Independent Baptist Churches, of Kenya. My parents had always prayed to burn out and not fizzle out, and that prayer was answered in 2015 when Mama was buried at Madhaithi in Kenya, followed by Papa 2 years later. Their legacy lives on through each ministry that they were able to be a part of during their time in Africa. God's work actively continues through ongoing communication and support for the various ministries there. Through frequent contact with us, my friends, Pastor Harrison and Pastor Ndegwa and other leaders there continue to create opportunities to change the lives of people throughout Kenya for the kingdom of God. Since 1995, I've had the opportunity to travel to Kenya once or twice a year until COVID came. During that time, I've been able to host many friends' visits to Kenya and help them minister there. Many people have taken their giftings to Kenya and impacted the native people in many different ways. We saw many kids accept Christ and decide to live their lives for Him. We've hosted camps where over 500 children came to play games and learn about Jesus. Many young people from America have been able to go and minister to Kenyan young people in schools, orphanages, and churches. We've had the privilege of hosting seminars for both pastors and police in the area, teaching about marriage, the home, leadership, and the Bible. My friends Randy Durden, Police Chief Ed Lacey, East LJ Baptist Church, Ben and Vicky Kiker and their team, through an organization called Kerring For Kenya, have served as gasoline to the fire of ministry in Kenya, as Papa would say. Kerring For Kenya was founded as a means to continue the support of Antioch Independent Baptist churches in Kenya. The initial church at Karagoto was dedicated in memory of Carrie Kiker, the daughter of Ben and Vicky Kiker, who was killed in a tragic accident at the age of 28. Many friends that came to the dedication of that church in 2009 fell in love with the Lord's work in Kenya and have returned many times. Each year has seen the expansion of the ministry across Kenya with wells, rain harvesting tanks, churches, pastor accommodations, orphan care, and other ministries there. We hope to continue spreading the kingdom of God and honor the memory of Carrie and my parents through supporting the churches and growing the ministries that by God's grace have been established. I wanted to take this time to thank each of you for your support throughout my parents' ministry since 1952 and let you know what an impact you have made throughout the years for eternity. Thank you so much for all of your love, prayers, and support. Throughout their ministry, Mama and Papa worked with several organizations to make their mission work possible. We're thankful for the support of IFM, the mission organization that helped facilitate their ministry in Kenya while Mama and Papa lived there. Many of you have helped support my parents through that partnership with IFM. For many others, Kerring For Kenya, a 501c3 established in 2018. Kerring For Kenya hopes to equip, educate, and support pastors in communities in Kenya. You can help to support these causes through continued prayers, giving, and visits to the ongoing projects we have there through Kerring For Kenya. There's still so much work to do. The churches in Kenya are multiplying. They are training their members for ministry to plant more churches. Together, they are working to evangelize, disciple, and support the needs of their various communities. We support the churches with a variety of resources and seek to help each pastor become more self-sufficient through education and initiatives that provide income for their families. Often, it's as simple as purchasing equipment and providing a small amount of technical training to allow them to subsidize their income. The Bee Initiative, for instance, supplying beehives and education, is one such effort. Other projects have included sewing machines, welders, computer training, fishing nets, goats, chicken brooders, bicycles, music equipment, and many other options relevant to the areas they live. Our churches begin as basic structures of metal roofing and then are often built in remote, disadvantaged areas. As the ministry grows, a more permanent church is built. With the relief of not having to pay rent for a home or church, the pastor can concentrate more on his efforts of spreading the gospel and discipling their church family. The burden of full-time employment outside the church is alleviated, and they are much more secure in their location. Without providing this type of training and stimulus, the need for support becomes unending. With proper training and guidance, a pastor can become more self-sustaining and create wealth to benefit he and his community. Many pastors and their wives become mentors and coaches in their communities. In March of 2024, we hope to finish a new orphanage called Youth in Training at Madaithi in Karatina. This plot of land was originally bought as a burial site for Mama and Papa, but is now a church and orphanage giving life and hope to the needy. This orphanage has replaced the minimal housing that we've been able to provide in the past and will be able to house up to 10 boys and 10 girls. These orphaned street kids will have access to safe housing, education, and an opportunity to work through the church there on the property. To find out more about our ongoing projects and how you can be involved, check out our projects page online at www.kerringforkenya.org.